Most people think wealth is something you can spot instantly: flashy cars pulling into the driveway, designer clothes that scream status, luxury vacations posted all over social media. But here's the surprising truth: real wealth doesn't need to announce itself. It's often much quieter, hidden in the habits, decisions, and small daily choices that don't make headlines. The people who are truly building wealth rarely feel rich in the moment. That's because they're not chasing appearances, they're too focused on saving consistently, investing steadily, and building assets that grow behind the scenes. It's a lot like Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest men alive. Despite his billions, he still lives in the same modest Omaha house he bought in 1958, drives a practical car, and eats simple meals. Buffett doesn't rely on showing off wealth, he relies on building it through discipline, patience, and smart choices that compound over time. If you've ever found yourself questioning whether you're actually moving forward financially, this video will give you the clarity you need. We'll uncover the 7 subtle signs that you're secretly getting rich, even if it doesn't feel that way yet. Because the truth is, the richest people don't wait until they feel wealthy to act like it. They lay the groundwork first. They stick to the basics, living below their means, avoiding debt traps, prioritizing investments, and protecting their assets. The money, the freedom, and the options come later as the natural result of these habits. So if you're wondering whether the sacrifices you're making today, skipping the flashy car, automating your savings, putting money into index funds instead of shopping sprees, are actually worth it, the answer is yes. These are the very choices that put you in the same lane as people like Warren Buffett. And over time, they add up in ways you might not even realize right now. In this video, we'll break down those subtle signs that often go unnoticed but are clear indicators you're on the right path. And by the end, you'll see that true wealth isn't about looking rich, it's about building a life of freedom, options, and security that quietly grows in the background while the rest of the world chases appearances. Let's get into it. Sign 1: You've mastered living below your means. One of the clearest signs you're secretly getting rich is that you've learned how to live below your means. This doesn't mean you're living in scarcity, clipping coupons, or constantly saying no to yourself. Instead, it means you've built a lifestyle where your spending is intentional, not reactive. You're not trying to impress anyone with the latest car, designer brand, or luxury vacation. You've realized that real power comes from financial margin, the difference between what you earn and what you spend. That gap is where wealth quietly grows. With every extra dollar you choose not to spend, you create options for yourself: the option to save, the option to invest, the option to walk away from things that don't serve your goals. Warren Buffett is the ultimate example of this principle. Despite being one of the richest people alive, he has lived in the same modest house in Omaha for decades, a home he bought in 1958 for just $31,500. He famously drives simple cars and avoids flashy luxuries, not because he can't afford them, but because he doesn't feel the need to prove anything with his spending. His wealth grew because his focus was never on lifestyle inflation, but on building long-term assets. By keeping his life simple, he kept more money working for him instead of working for appearances. Living below your means isn't about deprivation, it's about clarity. You've redefined what enough looks like for you, and that decision creates freedom. While others chase status, you quietly stack opportunities. Over time, this discipline compounds into something far more powerful than any luxury purchase: true financial independence. When you don't need every dollar you earn just to survive or maintain an image, you're already ahead. You may not feel rich yet, but make no mistake, this is exactly how wealth begins to grow, quietly and steadily in the background. Sign 2: You're focused on assets, not appearances. Another subtle but powerful sign that you're secretly getting rich is that you care more about building assets than showing off appearances. Most people fall into the trap of using money to buy things that signal wealth: new cars, luxury watches, or the latest iPhone. But wealthy people know that these things don't generate long-term security. Assets do. If you've started prioritizing investments like index funds, rental properties, businesses, or even a well-stocked retirement account over flashy purchases, you're already building wealth in the background, even if no one else can see it yet. Think about Warren Buffett again. With a fortune worth over $100 billion, he could buy any luxury he wanted every single day. But instead of blowing money on status symbols, he invests in companies that grow in value over time. He's known for saying, "If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die." That's why his focus has always been on acquiring assets that create passive income and compound growth, not on keeping up appearances. He doesn't need to look rich because he actually is rich, and it all comes from owning productive assets. When you start doing the same, you may not feel like much is changing at first. Your friends might not notice that you own shares of an S&P 500 index fund, or that you're quietly building equity in a rental property. But behind the scenes, those assets are growing, compounding, and working for you. Over the years, this discipline creates a financial foundation far stronger than any designer bag or flashy vacation ever could. Choosing assets over appearances is a mindset shift that separates long-term wealth builders from short-term spenders. Every time you put money into something that grows instead of something that fades, you're taking a step closer to freedom. And the best part? You don't need anyone's validation, because the results will show up in time. Quietly, patiently, and powerfully, you're building the kind of wealth that lasts. Sign 3, you think long-term instead of chasing quick wins. Another clear sign you're quietly getting rich is that your financial decisions are guided by the long game, not the short-term thrill. Most people want fast results. They chase hot stock tips, gamble on cryptocurrency pumps, or try to time the market perfectly. But wealthy people know that real success doesn't come overnight, it's built slowly, steadily, and predictably. If you've started to ignore the noise of get-rich-quick schemes and instead focus on consistent, long-term investments, you're already ahead of the pack. Warren Buffett is the perfect example here. He's famous for saying, "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient." Think about that, the impatient jump in and out, hoping for quick profits, while the patient quietly build fortunes by holding strong assets for decades. Buffett didn't become one of the richest men in the world by flipping stocks every week. He bought businesses he believed in, held them for the long haul, and let compounding do the heavy lifting. When you adopt this mindset, you stop stressing over daily stock market swings or whether the news says a recession is coming. Instead, you focus on systems, regular investing, automatic contributions, and the patience to let time work in your favor. You understand that wealth grows like a snowball. At first, it's small and rolls slowly, but as the years pass, it picks up size and momentum until it becomes unstoppable. Most people underestimate how powerful this shift is. By thinking in decades instead of days, you give yourself a huge advantage. You're no longer playing the stressful game of chasing quick wins, you're building something that will keep working for you long after the trend chasers burn out. And here's the best part, the discipline to think long-term spills over into other parts of your life, too. You make better career choices, stronger relationships, and healthier lifestyle habits, because you're always thinking about how today's decisions shape tomorrow. So, if you find yourself caring less about getting rich fast and more about building something durable, you're on the right track. That shift in perspective is one of the strongest signals that wealth is quietly forming in your life, even if it doesn't show up in obvious ways yet. Sign 4, you value assets over appearances. One of the strongest signs that you're secretly getting rich is that you've stopped chasing appearances and started focusing on ownership. Most people spend their extra income on things that look like wealth, new cars, designer clothes, luxury gadgets, or expensive vacations. They want to be seen as successful, even if their bank account tells a different story. But quietly wealthy people flip this script. They know that the real engine of wealth isn't in what you show, it's in what you own. When you buy assets, whether it's shares of a company, rental property, or even a simple broad market index fund, you're planting seeds that grow. These investments quietly pay you back over time, through dividends, rent, or appreciation. The beauty is, Assets don't lose value the moment you buy them. Unlike a flashy car that starts depreciating as soon as you drive it off the lot, assets work silently in the background, making you richer while you sleep. Warren Buffett has been a master of this principle for decades. Despite being one of the wealthiest men alive, he still lives in the same modest Omaha house he bought in 1958. He's not pouring money into mansions or private jets to impress others. Instead, he buys businesses and stocks that continue to grow in value year after year. Buffett once said, "If you buy things you don't need, soon you will have to sell things you need." That's the mindset difference. He focuses on assets that create freedom, not liabilities that demand constant payments and maintenance. When you start valuing assets over appearances, your financial life changes dramatically. Suddenly, you're less concerned about what your neighbors, co-workers, or friends think, and more focused on quietly building wealth that gives you freedom. You don't feel pressure to upgrade your lifestyle every time your income rises, because you know every dollar spent on status is a dollar that could have been invested. And here's the hidden benefit: this mindset reduces stress. Instead of worrying about keeping up with the Joneses, you're playing an entirely different game. A quieter, smarter game where the scoreboard is measured in financial security and long-term options, not in Instagram likes. So, if you find yourself getting more excited about buying stocks, adding to your investment portfolio, or paying down an asset than you are about showing off a new purchase, that's a powerful sign. It means you're choosing ownership over optics, and in the long run, that's what separates the truly wealthy from everyone else. Sign 5. You think in decades, not days. Another powerful sign that you're secretly building real wealth is that your mindset has shifted from chasing quick wins to focusing on the long game. Most people want instant results. They look for stock tips that will double overnight, jump on the latest trend, or chase the next big thing in hopes of striking it rich fast. But the truth is, lasting wealth is never built in days or weeks, it's built over decades. And the moment you start thinking this way, you're already separating yourself from the crowd. Wealthy people understand the power of time. They know that consistency beats intensity, and that patience is one of the greatest financial superpowers you can develop. Instead of asking, "How much can I make right now?" they ask, "Where will this decision put me in 10, 20, or 30 years?" That shift in thinking changes everything. Suddenly, you're not distracted by short-term market swings, shiny purchases, or the fear of missing out. You're focused on planting seeds that will grow for the rest of your life. Warren Buffett is the ultimate example of this mindset. He built the majority of his fortune after the age of 50, not because he suddenly became a better investor, but because his money had decades to compound. Buffett often reminds people that the stock market is designed to transfer wealth from the impatient to the patient. His secret weapon has never been luck or timing, it's discipline and time. He once said, "Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago." That's how he sees investing, as planting trees that may take decades to grow, but eventually provide shelter, security, and freedom. When you start thinking in decades, you free yourself from the anxiety of short-term ups and downs. You're no longer rattled when the market dips for a few months or when an investment takes time to show results. Instead, you see those moments as opportunities, chances to buy more, to stay the course, to let time do the heavy lifting. You're calm because you understand that real wealth isn't built in bursts, it's built in layers over years of steady, intentional action. This mindset shift also affects your daily life. You're less tempted by impulse spending because you know every dollar has long-term potential. You're more willing to delay gratification because you've seen how small sacrifices today can multiply into enormous rewards later. And you're more focused on systems and habits, like automating savings, investing regularly, and avoiding lifestyle creep, because you know that it's consistency over time that makes the biggest difference. So, if you've caught yourself asking long-term questions like, "Where will this decision put me in 10 years, instead of, "What feels good right now?" Congratulations. That's one of the clearest signs you're secretly getting rich. You're not just chasing money, you're building a future. And just like Buffett, when the decades roll by, you'll look back and realize patience wasn't just a virtue, it was the ultimate wealth strategy. Sign 6. You value assets over appearances. One of the clearest signs that you're quietly getting rich is when you care more about building assets than showing off. Most people want their wealth to be visible: the luxury car, the designer watch, the big house in the right neighborhood. These purchases might look impressive on the outside, but they often drain resources that could have been working for you in the background. The wealthy understand a simple truth: every flashy purchase delays financial freedom, while every smart investment accelerates it. When you shift your mindset to prioritize assets, something changes. Instead of seeing money as a way to impress others, you see it as a tool for creating options. A dollar spent on status is gone forever, but a dollar invested in a business, rental property, or index fund has the potential to grow, multiply, and pay you back for the rest of your life. That shift is what separates people who stay stuck in the cycle of spending from those who quietly build financial independence. Warren Buffett is the perfect example of this principle in action. Despite being one of the richest men on earth, he still lives in the same modest house he bought in Omaha in 1958. He drives practical cars, avoids luxury brands, and rarely indulges in extravagant purchases. To Buffett, wealth isn't about showing people what you have, it's about owning assets that generate more wealth behind the scenes. He'd rather own businesses that spin off billions in cash than a fleet of exotic cars that depreciate the second you drive them off the lot. His life proves that the ultimate flex isn't what you show, it's what you quietly own. When you follow this path, you realize something powerful: the less you spend on appearances, the more you have available to build real wealth. That doesn't mean living in deprivation, it means choosing investments that give you more freedom tomorrow over purchases that give you fleeting validation today. You might still enjoy nice things, but you don't buy them to impress. You buy them when you can easily afford them, when they don't derail your financial progress, and when they genuinely bring you value. This discipline creates a compounding effect. Every time you direct money into assets instead of appearances, you're planting seeds for future growth. Over time, those seeds become dividends, rental income, and capital gains, streams of wealth that quietly build in the background. Meanwhile, the people chasing appearances are left with depreciating toys and bigger bills. By focusing on assets, you stay in control, your wealth multiplies, and your freedom grows. So if you've noticed that you care less about impressing others and more about building investments, you're already on the right path. It's a subtle sign, but a powerful one: you're prioritizing freedom over flash. And like Warren Buffett, you'll one day look back and realize that what seemed like modest choices were actually the foundation of enormous wealth. Sign 7. You play the long game. The last subtle sign that you're secretly getting rich is that you think in decades, not days. Most people want quick results. They chase the hottest stock tip, the latest get-rich-quick scheme, or the next big thing their neighbor is bragging about. But the wealthy understand that true financial success is built slowly and steadily, like planting a tree that grows taller year after year. When you focus on the long game, you're not worried about short-term ups and downs, you're focused on where you'll be 10, 20, or even 30 years from now. This mindset shows up in small ways. You don't panic when the stock market dips, because you know time is on your side. You don't feel the urge to cash out investments early, because you understand the magic of compounding. You're willing to wait for your money to grow quietly in the background, even if it feels slow at first. And you're patient enough to keep contributing, even when no one else is watching or cheering you on. This patience is rare, but it's exactly what creates the kind of wealth that lasts. Warren Buffett has always credited his success not just to smart investing, but to his ability to stay the course longer than almost anyone else. He started investing as a child, kept reinvesting his earnings year after year, and let compounding do the heavy lifting. Buffett once said, "The stock market is designed to transfer money from the impatient to the patient." That's the essence of the long game. By staying patient when others give up, you position yourself to reap the rewards that only come with time. Playing the long game doesn't mean ignoring the present. It means designing your financial life so today's decisions set up tomorrow's freedom. Every time you choose to invest instead of splurge, automate instead of delay, or save instead of spend, you're stacking bricks in the foundation of your future. You may not feel rich right now, but wealth is building beneath the surface, quietly compounding with every smart decision you make. So if you're focused on the next 10, 20, or 30 years instead of the next 10 days, you've already stepped into the mindset of the wealthy. This perspective frees you from chasing trends, helps you avoid costly mistakes, and keeps you consistent long enough to see real results. And just like Buffett, one day you'll wake up and realize that while others were distracted by quick wins, your patience has quietly made you one of the richest people in the room, not just in money, but in freedom, peace of mind, and lasting security. If you found this video useful, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to not miss our future uploads. See you in the next video.